Go to your YouTube and let me know if music is playing.
If what?
Huh? Because I'm not seeing the radio moving. I want to see the music radio moving from here. Ooh, plug that call back. Plug the jack back.
I'm asking you.
Ready, go. Ready, good.
We good? Hi everyone, welcome back to Truth on Air with Pastor Edith. I am so sorry that we're starting late, technical difficulties of course, but I promise you we'll give you a little bit and then we will bring you back for a part 2 of Truth on Air with Pastor Edith. So I'm so glad to be back. Of course, it's always a pleasure to be sitting behind the camera. So I won't talk too much because I want to dive into this topic because it is a very juicy topic. So I hope you have your pen and your paper and you have everything ready for us to go. And please, if you do have any questions as you are watching, please feel free. I am multitasking, of course, so I will be answering questions that you post and that you have. So don't throw them to me, throw them to the guest. All right. So without further ado, again, my name is Pastor E. I'm super excited for today. I have with me my senior pastor, in whom I honor, love very dearly, and I'm so glad that he's here today. Normally he's behind the camera, but today we got him in the seat to answer some questions on relationships. So welcome. I'll allow him to introduce himself and then we will kick off. Welcome, Pastor Todd.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
I am excited to be here and thank you.
Of course. So please tell the audience a little bit about yourself, so we get to know who you are, and then we'll go into our questions.
I am Clifford M. Tall, privileged pastor or senior pastor at Faith Embassy, where we refer to as the City of Rescue. And I am a choice servant, and I'm glad to be on the program today. Thank you very much.
Of course. Well, let's see. Let's hop into our questions here for you. So, happy pre-Valentine's, of course, to everyone. So today our topic is red flags in relationships. So we're going to start asking you some questions, Pastor, because we want to know what are those red flags. Now, knowing you, I've known you personally, so I know that you are married. So please help us understand. First of all, what is red flag?
Red flags. Wow. Every time you hear red flags, normally let me bring it back to our typical life. When you go to maybe a certain area, or most especially industrial areas, everything, sometimes you see danger zone. You see a red sign. Yeah. You go certain places, you see a certain sign. Even without traffic light, you see the sign, say red, stop, caution, stop. So red flags in our context of today, I refer to it as warning signs. Warning signs that could be potential problems, that could be potential dangers that bring toxic into the relationship, that also bring incompatibility into the relationship. So when you begin to recognize them early, it saves you, save your relationship, save you the drama, save you the hurt. So red flag is very significant when it comes to not only relationship, friendship, association, jobs, everything. Life in totality, red flag is a significant key.
Nice. All right. Well, you heard that. So then my next question to you, and you're a pastor, so I'm sure you've counseled a lot of people, but what are the biggest red flags in a relationship that most people tend to overlook, and why?
Yes. There are many, and in this context for everyone watching and listening, it may varies in different capacity, but from my context tonight and on this program, I want to look at one major red flag that I call a major one is the place of communication. Communication is very, very important. And it's one red flag that people tend to ignore. And I'm going to break it down a little bit for you. One, communication, like we've been growing up, you know, we've always learned and heard that is either verbal or non-verbal. Now, many a times, even believers, all right, Christians, people that we all emulate and expect to stand out, yet they are some of the ones that ignore those red flags. And now the reason why I say communication is very important. The Bible says in Psalms 11 and verse 3, it says, if the foundation is destroyed, there is nothing, even though they are righteous, there is nothing they can do. Now, looking at the place of communication, at the beginning of the friendship, you met brother X or you met sister Y at the beginning of the friendship, and then you begin to communicate your likes. You communicate your dislikes. You communicate your values. Today, many people see those signs, ignore them, refuse to communicate it. They say, oh, I know you will change. I know you will become better. You know, communicate. What do you like? What you don't like? What do you want? What you don't want? But most of the time, these things are clouded with emotions. All right, people, oh, I like the way he looks. I like the way she's so beautiful. The way she cooked for me. In fact, it make my mind go wow. And so we go out of the emotions, out of the likes, out of those things that attracted us in the first instance. And we begin to chase after them and ignore the basic questions that we should be asking. All right, we ignore those questions, and you communicate your responsibilities. You communicate your habits, and one of the things that I ignore, like I love so much, communicate your values.
That's right.
Your values.
That's right.
Because you see, most of the time people go for love. For me, I like values because value will bring about the love. So communication is one major key that I think it will help you to go or not to go. It will help you to continue or not to continue. Communicate, 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 communicate. I'll pause right there.
Okay, so, I'm going to deviate a little bit. So you mentioned communication, but in relationship, when you're first in the talking stage, I guess that's what they call it, the talking stage, because you're talking, you're doing a lot of talking, you're communicating. So then at what point does the communication starts to fall apart? Because you see couples that when they're first dating, they're always on the phone 3 hours. Maybe they're talking for 6 hours. But then as the relationship goes on, husbands and wives or partners are talking probably, 3-4 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes. So what happens there if that communication has been in the beginning?
The truth is, one may be talking on the phone, but then what they are talking on the phone may be irrelevant to what they are experiencing when it comes to a relationship. Okay. Take, for example, you met a guy. At the first instance, he take you to shop. He buy what you need. He buys everything you like. He has the six-pack. He has, the physique and everything that attracts a person. Now, once you get into that, now you forget the basic questions to ask. In the beginning, what do you like? Oh, no, I like going out. I like to do this. Those are the common questions you ask. Okay, question that will bring out his moral discipline. Okay. Question that will trigger his character, anger management, and so many things. We ignore them. We dress or drive around them and let it stay. So because of that, now we begin to talk, and last night was so nice. We leave the basic and start to talk about our comfort, those different things. But you see, when you set the goals, because you see, every relationship, or the desire, I'll put it this way, of every man and a lady get into a relationship, one of the primary goal is to end in marriage. Right. Okay? Right. Except wherein you are just flirting and just jumping here and there. Right. But as a responsible adult, you don't want just someone to come because, but the next thing is, immediately you start to talk without even communicating anything. We already set out the milk from the cow. Okay. And when the milk is already bought, there is no need to go ahead and discuss anything further. Most people will sit down. Now, most people will come around in disguise. They come in different forms. It is through the process of communication, because my Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth will speak. So when we refuse to communicate those things that are important, take for example, maybe you say, look, what are your goals? What do you want out of this relationship? I hope you are not just coming around just because you want to have sex, or you are just coming around because you want to belong. But what are your goals? What are your long-term goals? What are your short-term goals? What are those things we present? Then it begin to align. What are your values? It begin to align with your value and begin to tell you, because even the Bible tells us that the Spirit himself bears witness with our spirit, and to testify that we are children of God. Right. But you see, when we begin to communicate our values, we'll know definitely whether we are compatible or we are not. We begin to communicate our goals. We begin to communicate our hurts. What are those things that are easily disappointing? What are those things that you want to see in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, and those other things? So it's not just about the feelings, the emotions, and all of that. So most of the time, couples will stay on the phone for hours, but yet it's still not. I'll give, for example, for me, when I met my wife, we were a distance apart, more like a couple of long journey, and sometimes we'll talk on the phone, but then I have to give her my guidelines. In our midst of communication, I say, hey, I have a desire for ministry. and this is where I see myself going, and this is where I want to go. So are you comfortable with it?
Right.
Is this something you want to do?
Right.
And it's, oh, you know, all my life I never wanted to marry a pastor, and I was not even hoping to get connected to a pastor and all of that. I said, but now this is where we are. So what do you want? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So in the midst of that, it was a place of reasoning. Even God said to us, okay, come, let's reason together.
That's right.
So the place of communication is the place of reasoning your values, your hurts, your intent.
That's
how
right.
many children do you want? What are you like children? What are you don't like children? What are you like blended families? You don't
That's
like
right.
blended families.
That's right.
What are you comfortable with my goals? You are not intimidated with
right.
my
That's
achievements. You are
That's
not
right.
intimidated with my goals. And then your values, maybe you are easily angered, easily temperamented. And then how do I cope with that? How do I handle that? You love to drink. I don't
good.
like to drink.
That's
And you love to smoke. I cannot smoke. And in the midst of that is when we begin to communicate these things.
That's right.
You know what is worth going
Forward.
But sometimes we see them, we communicate them, but we be, you know, I know he's going to change. You know, I always know he will change. You know, and that's where it come back to my place I talked about values. Most times you see couples compromise their value in order to fit into the relationship, and that is a red flag.
Oh God. Well, this is going good. Media, people are saying there is a feedback. Okay, so some people are saying they're hearing it. Some people are saying they're not hearing it. So please help us. Maybe when he's talking, you can mute me. I don't know. We'll figure it out. All right. So that was really good. I mean, so many questions are popping in my head just based off of what you said. So now I'm just going to randomly throw another question out there. So a lot of times you hear, I think because you mentioned, you say, you know, people are assuming that their partner is going to change. So then, how do I even want to say it? Because you mentioned so many good things. And ladies, I hope as you're watching, you're learning that it's very important to communicate your values. Okay, so now let's say you did all of that, you're now into the marriage. But the same behavior or maybe what you were not expecting starts to happen. So, for example, the example you give with you and your wife, you told your wife, you know, you're into ministry. She said, no, that's not me, but yeah, you we're here now. But now what happens when you've already married the person, but they're not supporting your vision or your values, or they're not supporting your dreams? So then what then do you do as a married person?
In that case, number one, now that we are married, all right, the first thing I'll say these days, you see, most of the time, people plan for the ceremony and not for the marriage, all right? Now, in the process of courtship, in the process of dating, and all of that, okay, we begin to flow with these things. These signs are going to be evident.
Right.
All right. Now, but just in case it happens, the next thing we have to seek professional help. Now, but before going to professional help, we seek God's help. Right. Okay. Now, that is if you want it, because the truth is you have to want it. If you don't want it, you cannot be forced into it, because two cannot walk except they agree. So in that particular case, first thing I would do is to take it back to the institute of the marriage. All right, because most of the time today you see couple, when they have issues, they are looking for a way to share with their friends, with their colleagues and other things. But the truth about it is, there's the one, because you see, it is purpose that determines plan. Now, before marriage was instituted, God had an original intent for why marriage. So, and he understands that it's going to be two different people coming from two different backgrounds, two different orientation and school of thoughts. So coming into the relationship, there's definitely going to be, you know, some area wherein they will need to fine tune. But in that case, you go back to God once the both of you are on the same platform. Okay, because you have to be on the same platform, though there are some areas you will not cope with. All right. Now, once you go to God in prayer, then my next point to that, you seek relevant materials. Because you see, a wise man said, if I've gone farther in life, it's because I stand on the shoulders of people that have gone farther.
That's right.
All right. Every place or everywhere we see today where did not just happen. Okay, it's a process. That's right. Okay, there is always the place of little beginning. Okay, and the scripture says even though the beginning may be small, but the latter end will greatly increase. But it will have to be with investment.
Yep.
It cannot increase just by looks. It cannot increase just by so like I always say to couple, if you have no alternative, invest in what you have.
That's right.
So now in the place of that investment, you seek relevant materials. There are people who have testimony in marriage. There are books, there are anointed materials that will guide you into your level of agreement and alignment. While you are praying, you are taking practical steps towards that area. Now, if some of us believers, as I'll put it, you can also seek counsel from your pastor. All right, we are having this disagreement and this other one with respect to our goals being aligned. And then you're going to be praying at the same time, you're going to be taking practical steps in resolving that issue. Instead of just saying, oh, we'll keep praying about it. No, we must take steps, practical steps, to see how we can bring that to a resolution.
All right. I hope you guys are listening. And I apologize. I know some of you are saying the sound is loud. Please, it's been a whole year since I took off. So please just bear with us. We'll fix everything. We wanted to at least give you something. But we'll definitely be back with part 2 because, trust me, the questions are running in my head. But I do have a question someone asked on here or asked, can a person truly change because of love without pretending?
A person can truly change because of love without pretending. That is a very good question. But you see, change is of the heart. It's not of soul. All right? And the truth about it is today in a lot of our relationship, people pretend a lot. All right? People pretend a whole lot. Again, that's why I come back to the place of communication because many a times in our world today, you hear people talk about narcissist behavior. This person is a narcissist and this other one. All right, that's where the place of communication is important. All right, because you most of the time we avoid deep, meaningful communication. Because we don't want to get angry, we don't want to feel offended, we don't want them to press that button, and sometimes we dismiss our concerns, dismiss our feelings. Or when I ask him this question, he will get offended, so I better not ask him the question. I will just flow along, water under the bridge. Sometimes we get a little secretive about it, and I will just keep covering it up for him. So people pretend. People pretend. But you see, genuine change is of the heart. And normally I say to couple it this way. Every investment that is made in a relationship is not for your couple. So if you ask me the question if they are changing because of love, I will tell you it becomes fake. Because what if tomorrow the love, the level or the temperature of the love reduces? Then he's going to go back to the same old attitude. He's going to go back to the same old behavior. So every change you make, it must be intentional. Okay? That I want this to work. And like I'll say to couple, it makes me marketable. It makes me wanted. It makes me valued. All right? So it's not because my spouse is this, so I must behave like this. Because if I try to do it, I'm doing it because I want to accommodate my spouse. I want to be able to, that becomes, to me, it's a pretense. All right? And I want to just show to my spouse that, and this one, my heart is not there. And so because of that, I'll be faking it. All right? I'll be faking it. I share this quick example. There's this couple I met many years back somewhere, I believe around 2004. All right, and this guy followed this lady to church, and he even went ahead, joined the praise team, and all because he liked this lady, and this lady was so wonderful. And he said, "Hey, I love my church. I love to be in the things of God." Like I said, "Why not? I myself been going to church, so I'll follow you to church." And then they begin to go on and go on. Like Bible will always warn us with the bed undefiled. And they went into having sex. Premarital sex. And when they got into the place of sex, unfortunately for her, and fortunately, she got pregnant. And when she got pregnant, now he knew that he had her. And then the attitude changed. He would sit right in front of her and smoke weed. He would sit right there and get drunk. And so people do things because of what they want. All right, so let the change be intentional. All right, now the thing about change is you must not be coerced into change. You must not be encouraged into change. Right? We can be advised, yes, but let it be an issue of your heart, because there's no way you will have a pineapple tree producing mango.
That's right.
All right? Out of the tree, we see the fruits.
That's right.
So I think I can stop to that.
Okay, all right. Well, ladies, I hope you are learning. Gentlemen, I hope you're learning. Singles, married, I hope you're learning. Welcome if you're just joining us here. I apologize. We started a little late and we're soon wrapped up. But I promise you we'll be back with a part 2 next week. And thank you so much, everyone, for sticking with us. Masa, thank you. You owe me a show, so please make sure send me your schedule, because I need to get you on here. But one question before we wrap, because somebody threw another question for you. Can a pastor that isn't married or had divorced mentor couples?
That is a very strategic one.
Okay.
Now, the reason why I call it strategic, you and I don't know the reason of the divorce.
Right.
All right. And so we cannot just push him to the wall or her to the wall because you are divorced, and so you are incapable of doing a mentorship or a counseling program. All right. So let us not judge the book by the cover or peradventure whatever they went through before. Sometimes the issue of divorce comes in some sticky ways. Sometimes for the safety of one's life, divorce has to come in. So there are many issues surrounding that fact. So that a pastor went through those experiences does not limit the grace of God on their life, because the Bible says, God speaking, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy. I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. And the scripture went down to ask, is there any unrighteousness in God? He said, God forbid. So we are not going to roast a pastor because he had a divorced experience. No. He may be lettered, he may be graced, he may have, a great experience in that area. So we cannot limit him because of whatever circumstances he went through.
That's right.
Yeah. But again, when it comes to the place of mentorship and guidance in this area, well, I always say to people, even though I may be your pastor, but sometimes I'm not graced in that area.
That's right.
And you see, people don't like to look at the truth as it is. All right. Now, you may be married, but you are still struggling in other areas. Again, I talk about the place of making investment. There are some people who are not current. There are some people who are not relevant enough. So seeking material, seeking avenues to learn. Like for me, I'll use myself as an example. All right. I knew that this day will come. All right. So I've been schooling myself. Now, on the unfortunate part of it, let me just chip this. During the time of premarital counseling, the person that was supposed to counsel my wife and I said to me, hey, you're already a man of God, I don't need to counsel you. All right. And I was shocked. He said, I don't need to counsel you because you're already a man of God. So, and after we have paid for the counseling section, unlike some of us that in some of our Orthodox churches, our charismatic churches, that we don't pay for those sections, and we are paid. And after paying for it, he said, no, I don't need to counsel you. You're already a man of God. You know what to do. And that's how that guy left us. All right? And he left us. So now it was up to us, to school ourselves into the kind of marriage we desire. All right, the kind of color, the kind of glamour we want to see in our marriage. And for a couple of years now, we've been married gloriously and no stress. Okay, completely stress-free, struggle-free. And God has been, God is our help. But the truth is, so there are people who are graced. There are people who are good mentors in those areas. Please, not because Mr. X is your pastor, so it's compulsory that you sit under him in that area. Seek relevant help.
That's right.
Okay, in those areas wherein people that are schooled that can better guide you in those areas, and I will look you into the face and tell you, hey, this is what it should be. Not that they will go ahead and polish it because they don't want to make you feel bad.
Right, right. Awesome. All right. Well, I hope that answered your question. So the next question I'm not asking today. I promise you I'll save it because that question that I'm reading is going to open up a whole can of worms into a whole different topic. So please, I beg you, I will ask this next week. So before we wrap up, again, I apologize. We started late, but we're going to be back next week for a part 2 because trust me, there's so much I want to ask. There's so much that we want to discuss on red flags in relationship. And red flags are not only before you say I do, there are couples experiencing red flags even after marriage. So before we go, Pastor Todd wrote a book, so I'm gonna it's on Amazon. It's called Red Flags Before You Say I Do. So you can definitely check it out on Amazon. I mean, from whatever little you learned here, you already know that the man of God is gifted. So before we wrapped up, any last minute words on this topic? I know we're going to be back. I know we're going to have a part 2 next week. But it's Valentine's season. It's love season. What do you have to say to the people watching before we wrap up?
To everyone watching, I want to appreciate you for taking time to be a part of this program. I'm definitely going to avail myself next week to be a part of this part 2 because I feel that to some extent I'm doing you injustice by not cooking a meal so deep like I like to do it. So I'm going to give you 2 keys, all right, because how this red flag issue came to me that I see that a book is here. Actually, this came as a burden because during the time of premarital counseling, I had to talk to people. All right, I see some of my spiritual children. They are doing well in the things of God, but they are struggling in their marriages and all of that. And God, this person should not be going through this. They should not be going through this. They should not be going through this. And then the Spirit of God began to inspire me. Okay, so why don't we look for a way to prevent it? Right. Instead of just looking for a way to just keep solving the problems, but rather we create an avenue where we can curtail those areas where people are having those deep struggles. So I'm going to just give you 2 keys very quickly. I know our time is up. 5 things, but I'm going to give you 2 of them. I'll keep the 3 for next week to avoid in your marriage. All right. Those are referred to, some of them, as red flags. Avoid comparing your spouse. You know, most couples, because of where they are from, you know, in their mind, it may not be physically, but in their mind, you make comparison of your spouse to whoever that speaks to you. Take, for example, a lady wore a beautiful dress and got out of the house. Now, the guy in the house did not say, hey, sweetie, you look beautiful today. And then somebody outside say, hey, you are so sweet, elegant, beautiful. And then right there, see the countryman I have in the house. He will not even look at me and tell me I'm beautiful. But see other people outside are telling me I'm beautiful. That's so good. Avoid every line because you see, everyone has weakness. Everyone has shortcoming. Every time you try to compete or compare your spouse with another person, you reduce them to a level in your heart and in your mind. And then it creates a red flag. Indirectly, you may not be saying it into their face, but I'll keep that piece for next week. And another thing you want to do, and I'll also keep that, avoid bringing up your past. You know, no matter who told you to let go of your past or whatever the issue is, you have to let it go. Okay, most cases, you hear people speaking of different excuses. Oh, somebody did it, so I'm washing off for it. The past. No one ever drives a car forward.
That's right.
While looking backward.
That's right.
Let the past stay in the past.
That's right.
And then for those that also want to get into relationship, all right, I'm going to give you the same 2 keys as my parting statement. All right. Do not compromise your standards. Do not compromise your purpose. Do not compromise your vision. Do not compromise your dreams. Do not compromise your value in order to fit in. Because the day you do that, that's the day you have reduced yourself from who you are to who you are not. Sometimes people you pair with, that is not in your state of mind. You want to be able to come down to their level in order to match them. No, you don't have to reduce yourself in order to fit in. Stand out. You are called to stand out. You are called to stand out. All right. So, because you see, marriage is not to be endured. Marriage is to be enjoyed. So most people miss those aspects of it. And one final point I'll give to a lot of people, I'll talk about it, and so I'm just going to redress. Do not marry a person that you will have to change. Do not marry a person that you will have to fix. No, don't do that. Sometimes you say, oh, no, I know he will change. Oh, I will change that attitude for him. And I will change that attitude for her. No, you cannot change anyone.
That's right.
You cannot change anyone. You see, I have this adage. The world never leaves a man halfway. Whatever you want in life, you have to go after it. So if you surely desire or value that relationship, trust me, you will discipline yourself to meet up with the standard.
That's right.
So you don't have to do this and that to want to change somebody. Oh yes, people can change. Genuinely they can change. But something have to drive them. Something in them have to provoke them. Not you coercing them. Not you trying to push them into it, because they may not do it sincerely.
That's right.
And once again, I want to say thank you to everyone for having me tonight on the Truth on Air. I'm so excited, and I hope you have a great time with us today. And once again, I'm privileged to be the senior pastor of Faith Embassy, where we win by the word of God and we lead by the word of God. So if in case you are watching, you say, hey, I want to have a one-on-one with this pastor, feel free to join us at Faith Embassy. And our church is located off the Brooklyn Boulevard, 7001 78th Avenue North, Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, 55445. And you are free to connect with us. We have our services on Sunday at 10:30 a.m. And then we have our Friday prayer service also at 6 p.m. I'm open to talk with you. I'm open to connect with you. And if you desire to get to know more about the things of God, you are having struggle in your relationship, why not? Reach out. And I believe God has something to offer to the both of us. Once again, God bless you and thank you for this great opportunity.
All right. Thank you, Pastor Toll. Well, he covered everything that I was going to cover, so that's great. Well, thank you so much, everyone, again, for tuning in with us. We're going to be back next week for a part 2 on red flags in relationship. It's been awesome. I hope the little time that we spent with you that you learned something here. So I won't go any further. But if you're in Minnesota on Sunday, our church is having a couples, but well, not only couples, but we're having a Valentine's dinner. So please join us. We have a red carpet. We have a fine dining, everything set up and ready for you. So come and join us. Pastor already gave the address, 7001 78th Avenue in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. So it's going to be a good time. Come. We're going to have an amazing time. God bless you. Thank you so much. And until next time, it has been real. This is Pastor Edith with Truth on Air. Thank you.